Captain Rena Koval stared at the report on her desk and felt her stomach turn. 3 dead, 12 injured, 2 months of failure. The Void Stalker was winning, and her station was losing. She looked up at the security footage playing on her wall screen. The creature paced inside its containment area, back and forth, back and forth. It was massive, easily the size of a cargo transport. Dark armor covered its body, and blue markings glowed along its spine. Every few minutes it would slam against the containment field, making the whole section shake. "We should destroy it," said Commander Thel from across the desk. He was Velcrin, like Rena, with the same gray skin and careful eyes. Before it kills anyone else, Rena wanted to agree. Every logical part of her brain said yes, destroy the creature, end this nightmare. But the research value was too high. Void Stalkers were rare. This was only the 3rd one ever captured alive. The galactic science community would never forgive her if she destroyed it without trying everything first. "There must be another way," she said quietly. "We have tried everything," Thel replied. He pulled up a list on his datapad. Sedation, isolation, environmental changes, automated feeding systems. Nothing works. It attacks anyone who comes near. Our best xenobiologists cannot even scan it properly. Rena rubbed her temples. She had been station captain for 8 years and never felt this helpless. "What about the human research team?" "They arrived yesterday." Thel looked surprised. "Humans, Captain. They only joined the galactic community 15 years ago. What could they possibly know that we do not?" "I read their file," Rena said. She pulled up the documents on her screen. "Their home planet is classified as a death world. Category 7. They evolved alongside thousands of predator species. Maybe they have different methods." Thel did not look convinced, but he nodded. "I will send for their team leader." 20 minutes later, a human walked into Rena's office. He was tall and slim, with dark hair and calm brown eyes. He wore the standard research uniform, but moved with unusual grace. There was something peaceful about him that Rena noticed immediately. "Captain Koval," he said with a small bow. "I am Dae-hyun. You asked to see me?" Rena gestured to the chair across from her desk. "Sit, please." "I need your help with a problem." Dae-hyun sat down and waited. He did not ask questions or fill the silence with nervous talk. He just waited patiently. Rena appreciated that. "We have a creature," she began. "A Void Stalker. It has killed 3 of my researchers and injured 12 more. We cannot control it, we cannot study it, and we are running out of options. I am told humans have experience with dangerous animals. May I see the footage?" Dae-hyun asked. Rena turned her screen toward him and played the last 2 months of recordings. Dae-hyun watched silently. He did not react to the violent parts when the creature attacked researchers or broke equipment. He just watched with focused attention. Rena found herself watching him instead of the screen. After 30 minutes, Dae-hyun leaned back. "I would like to observe the creature in person." "That is dangerous," Rena said quickly. "It is highly aggressive." "I will stay outside the containment field," Dae-hyun said calmly. "I just want to watch." "That is all." Rena considered this. "What harm could watching do?" "Very well. But you will have a security escort at all times. If there is any danger, you will leave immediately." "Understood," Dae-hyun said. Rena assigned Nari Song as his security escort. Nari was human too, part of the station security team. She was short but strong, with sharp eyes and a weapon always at her side. When Rena explained the assignment, Nari looked unhappy. "You want me to babysit a suicide mission?" Nari asked bluntly. "I want you to keep him safe," Rena corrected. "Can you do that?" Nari sighed. "Yes, Captain." The containment area was in the lower levels of the station, away from living quarters. The walls were reinforced steel, and the containment field hummed with power. Warning signs covered every surface. Only 2 other researchers were present, monitoring equipment from a safe distance. When Dae-hyun arrived with Nari, the researchers looked relieved to see someone else willing to try. They introduced themselves as Dr. Won Sul and his assistant. Won was human, older than Dae-hyun, with gray hair and worried eyes. "I do not think this will work," Won said honestly. "But I hope I am wrong." Dae-hyun just nodded. He walked to the observation window and looked inside. The Void Stalker was even more impressive in person. It stood on 4 powerful legs with a long tail that ended in sharp spikes. Its head was angular with multiple eyes that glowed faintly. The blue markings on its body pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. It was pacing again, the same pattern Dae-hyun had seen in the videos. How long has it been pacing like that? Dae-hyun asked. Since we captured it, Won replied. 2 months without stopping. Dae-hyun watched the pattern carefully. The creature walked from one wall to another, turned, walked back, then paused in the far corner before starting again. It always paused in that same corner. What is in that corner? Dae-hyun asked, pointing. Won checked his data pad. Nothing. Just wall. Not to the creature, Dae-hyun said softly. That corner means something. He pulled up a chair and sat down facing the containment field. Nari stood behind him, one hand on her weapon. The other researchers watched from their stations, clearly thinking this human was crazy. Dae-hyun simply sat and watched. He did not move or make noise. He just observed the creature with patient attention. 1 hour passed. Then 2, then 3. The creature kept pacing, occasionally glancing at the human outside its prison. After 4 hours, Won approached. Perhaps we should break for— Shh, Dae-hyun said gently, raising one hand. The Void Stalker had stopped pacing. It stood in the center of the containment area, staring directly at Dae-hyun. The two of them looked at each other through the energy field. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then Dae-hyun did something unexpected. He started speaking in his native Korean language. His voice was soft and calm, almost musical. He was not speaking to the creature exactly. He was just talking, filling the silence with gentle sounds. The creature tilted its massive head, listening. Dae-hyun kept talking. He told the creature about Earth, about mountains and oceans, about the dogs he used to train and the wildlife he used to help. He did not know if the creature understood any words. That was not the point. The point was the tone, the calmness, the absence of fear. After 6 hours of watching, Dae-hyun noticed something. The creature's pacing pattern was not random aggression. It was stress behavior. The creature was confined and frightened, not naturally violent. Every time the equipment hummed or the lights flickered, the creature flinched slightly. It is not aggressive, Dae-hyun said suddenly. It is overwhelmed. What? Won asked, surprised. Before Dae-hyun could explain, the creature made a sound. It was low and rumbling, unlike anything the researchers had heard before. The translation matrix on the wall flickered to life, struggling to process the sound. Finally, words appeared on the screen. Loud, hurts. Everyone froze. The station researchers stared at the translation in shock. The creature could communicate. After 2 months, nobody knew it could speak. Dae-hyun stood slowly and walked closer to the containment field. What hurts? He asked in Galactic Common, the language most species used. The creature raised one massive claw and pointed at the bright lights overhead. Then at the monitoring equipment that hummed constantly. Then at the ventilation system that rattled in the walls. Loud, the creature repeated. All loud, hurts. Dae-hyun turned to Won. Can we dim the lights and turn off the unnecessary equipment? Won looked uncertain. The protocols require— Please, Dae-hyun said firmly. Just try. Won hesitated, then nodded. He went to the control panel and began shutting down systems. The bright lights dimmed to a soft glow. The monitoring equipment was switched to silent mode. The ventilation was reduced to minimum levels. The change in the creature was immediate. Its tense posture relaxed. The blue markings on its body stopped pulsing so frantically. It looked around the quieter, darker space and made a sound that the translator interpreted as relief. Then it did something that shocked everyone. It sat down. For the first time in 2 months, the Void Stalker sat down and stopped pacing. Dae-hyun sat down too, outside the containment field. He continued talking softly and the creature listened. Sometimes it made small sounds back. Simple words that the translator could barely process. After another hour, Dae-hyun stood to leave. The creature immediately stood too, watching him with what almost looked like concern. I will come back tomorrow, Dae-hyun promised in Galactic Common. The creature stared at him for a long moment. Then it made another sound, one that came through the translator as a question. Come back? Dae-hyun smiled. It was a warm, genuine smile. Yes, I will come back. The creature sat down again, but its eyes never left Dae-hyun as he walked away. Back in the observation room, Won was reviewing the recordings with trembling hands. It spoke, he kept saying. It actually spoke to us. Nari looked at Dae-hyun with new respect. How did you know? I did not know, Dae-hyun admitted. I just watched and listened. The creature was trying to tell us something all along. We just were not paying attention. He looked back through the window at the Void Stalker now resting peacefully in the dimmed containment area. It is not a mindless predator. It is intelligent and alone. It has been trying to communicate. Dae-hyun returned the next morning with a bag of food from the station kitchen. Not the standard nutrition blocks that researchers usually ate, but actual prepared meals. He had scrambled eggs, fresh bread, and some fruit. The cook had looked at him strangely when he requested breakfast for two, but she had not asked questions. The containment area was quiet when he arrived. The Void Stalker was awake, sitting in its usual corner. When Dae-hyun entered the observation room, the creature's head immediately turned toward him. All of its eyes focused on the human. "Good morning," Dae-hyun said in Galactic Common. The creature made a low, rumbling sound. The translator flickered and showed the word morning. Dae-hyun smiled. He pulled his chair close to the containment field and sat down. Then he unpacked his breakfast and began to eat. The creature watched with intense curiosity. It moved closer to the energy barrier, careful not to touch it. "Are you hungry?" Dae-hyun asked between bites. The creature tilted its head. "Hungry?" "Food," Dae-hyun explained. He held up a piece of bread. "This is food. It stops hunger." The creature seemed to understand. It made a sound that the translator interpreted as, "Yes, hungry." Dae-hyun stood and walked to the small access port in the containment wall. It was designed for passing items through without lowering the main field. He placed some bread and fruit inside and activated the transfer mechanism. The items appeared on the other side. The creature approached slowly. It sniffed the food carefully, then looked at Dae-hyun as if asking permission. Dae-hyun nodded and continued eating his own breakfast. The creature picked up the bread with surprising gentleness and ate it. Then the fruit. It made a pleased sound. "Good?" Dae-hyun asked. "Good," the creature confirmed. They ate breakfast together in comfortable silence. When they finished, Dae-hyun began talking again. He spoke in simple Galactic Common this time, using basic words and short sentences. He pointed at objects and named them. Wall, floor, light, door. The creature listened and repeated the words. Learning quickly, Dr. Wan arrived an hour later with Nari. They both stopped in surprise at what they saw. Dae-hyun was teaching the creature vocabulary like a teacher with a student. The creature was responding, clearly understanding the lesson. "Incredible," Wan whispered. He activated his recording equipment. "This needs to be documented." Over the next few hours, the creature's vocabulary grew. It learned words for colors, numbers, and simple actions. Its voice through the translator became clearer as it learned to form proper sounds. By midday, it could make short sentences. "You friend?" the creature asked Dae-hyun. "Yes," Dae-hyun replied warmly. "I am your friend." The creature made a pleased rumbling sound. "Good. Friend, good." During a break, Dae-hyun asked the creature a question that had been on his mind. "Do you have a name?" The creature paused. It made a complex sound that the translator struggled with. Finally, a word appeared. "Skal." "Skal," Dae-hyun repeated. "That is a good name." "My name is Dae-hyun." "Dae-hyun," Skal said slowly. "Dae friend?" "Yes, Dae is your friend." Nari watched from her position by the door. She had been skeptical yesterday, ready to shoot at the first sign of danger. But now she saw something different. This was not a monster. This was a person who had been alone and scared. The breakthrough came in the afternoon. A maintenance crew was working on the station's upper levels, and they accidentally triggered an alarm. The loud blaring sound echoed through the containment area. Skal immediately panicked. He roared and began slamming against the containment field with terrifying force. The field flickered under the assault. Warning lights flashed on every panel. Field integrity at 60%. Wan shouted over the noise. "We need to evacuate." Nari grabbed Dae-hyun's arm. "We have to go now." But Dae-hyun pulled away and ran to the intercom panel. He grabbed the microphone and spoke firmly. Skal, listen to me." The creature paused in its assault, breathing heavily. "Skal, it is just noise," Dae-hyun continued in a calm but strong voice. "It cannot hurt you. You are safe, I am here. Breathe with me, in and out, slowly." Skal stared at Dae-hyun through the flickering field. The human kept talking, kept breathing slowly and visibly. After a tense moment, Skal began to copy him. Breathing in, breathing out. The rage in his eyes faded, replaced by fear and confusion. "Good," Dae-hyun said gently. Very good. Now sit down for me. Can you sit? Skal hesitated, then sat. He was still breathing hard, but he was no longer attacking. The maintenance crew finally turned off the alarm. Silence returned to the containment area except for Skal's heavy breathing. The field stabilized. Juan checked his panels with shaking hands. Field is holding. We are safe. Nari stared at Dae-hyun in amazement. You stopped it. Just with your voice. I did not stop it, Dae-hyun corrected. Skal stopped himself. He chose to listen and trust me. For the rest of the day, Dae-hyun stayed with Skal. He sat by the containment field and just talked quietly. Ska gradually calmed down completely. Eventually, he began to talk too. Bad place, Skal said softly. Loud sounds like bad place. What was the bad place? Dae-hyun asked gently. Skal was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his words came slowly, painfully. Hunters come. Take Skal from pack. Loud weapons. Loud ships. Ska try fight. Skal fail. Bring here. All loud, all wrong. Skal alone. Dae-hyun felt his heart ache for the creature. Skal had not been aggressive by nature. He had been traumatized and alone, surrounded by sounds that reminded him of his capture. You are not alone anymore, Dae-hyun said firmly. I am here. We are pack now. Skal looked at him with all of his eyes. Pack? Yes, pack means family group together. Pack? Skal asked hopefully. Yes, I am your pack. Skal made a sound that was almost like crying. He pressed close to the containment field, as near to Dae-hyun as he could get without touching it. Thank you. Thank you, Dae. That evening, Dae-hyun went to Captain Rena with a request that he knew would be difficult. She listened from behind her desk, her expression growing more concerned as he spoke. You want to enter the containment area, she said flatly. Physically be in there with it. With Skal, Dae-hyun corrected. And yes, he needs more than observation. He needs physical connection. On Earth, when we help traumatized animals, we give them safe touch and presence. Skal is the same. He killed 3 researchers, Rena reminded him. Because they treated him like a specimen, Dae-hyun said. They drugged him, shocked him, handled him roughly. He defended himself. Now that he understands safety and trust, he will not attack. I know he will not. You cannot know that, Rena argued. You are right, Dae-hyun admitted. I cannot be completely certain, but I believe in Skal. He has earned that belief. They argued for an hour. Rena cited protocols and safety regulations. Dae-hyun countered with data about Skal's progress. Finally, they reached a compromise. Dae-hyun could stand just inside the containment field threshold. Full security team on standby. If Skal showed any aggression, Dae-hyun would be pulled out immediately and the creature would be heavily sedated. If you die, I will feel responsible forever, Rena said quietly. I will not die, Dae-hyun replied with confidence he truly felt. Skal would never hurt his pack. The next day, the containment area was filled with personnel. Security teams positioned at every angle. Dr. Juan monitored every possible reading. Nari stood closest to the field, her weapon ready but her expression worried. She had grown to respect both Dae-hyun and Skal over these few days. Dae-hyun stood before the field entrance. He had explained to Skal what was about to happen. Skal was nervous, pacing slightly, but he understood. Ready? Rena asked through the intercom. Ready, Dae-hyun confirmed. The containment field lowered just enough for a person to step through. Dae-hyun walked forward calmly and entered Skal's space. The field closed behind him with a hum. He was inside, alone with the creature that had killed 3 people. Skal stopped pacing. He stood very still, looking at Dae-hyun. The human seemed so small next to the massive creature. One swipe of Skal's claws could end him. Everyone held their breath. Dae-hyun slowly extended his hand, palm open and relaxed. He did not speak. He just offered his hand in friendship. Skal stared at the hand. He had seen the footage of his own capture, how he had hurt others. He knew what he was capable of. But this human trusted him. This human called him Pack. Very slowly, with incredible care, Skal extended one massive claw. The sharp point could easily pierce through skin and bone. But Skal controlled it perfectly. He gently touched the tip of his claw to Dae-hyun's palm. The touch was soft, barely any pressure. Safe, Skal rumbled. The translator caught his words clearly. Safe now, Dae-hyun smiled. Tears touched the corners of his eyes. Yes, Skal, you are safe now. I promise. In the observation room, several researchers wiped their own eyes. Nari lowered her weapon and exhaled in relief. Captain Rena watched the display and felt something shift in her understanding of the universe. Humans were different. They saw possibilities where others saw only danger. They built bridges where others built walls, and maybe, just maybe, the galaxy needed more of that. Dae-hyun stayed inside the containment area for another hour, just sitting with Skal. They talked about simple things. Skal asked about Earth, about families, about what it meant to have a home. Dae-hyun answered every question with patience. 2 weeks passed and the transformation was remarkable. Every morning, Dae-hyun arrived at the containment area with breakfast. Every morning, Skal waited eagerly by the field entrance. They had developed a routine that both of them enjoyed. Eat together, talk, learn new words, sometimes play simple games. The games surprised everyone. Dae-hyun brought puzzle boxes and pattern cards, things designed for young children. Skal loved them. He would work on a puzzle for hours, his massive claws moving with surprising delicacy. When he completed one, he would make a pleased rumbling sound and immediately ask for another. He has the intelligence of a child, Dr. Wan observed one afternoon, maybe 6 or 7 years old in human terms. But he is learning so fast, his vocabulary is already at 3,000 words. He is not a child, Dae-hyun corrected gently. He thinks like an adult. He just never had the chance to learn language before. His mind was always this capable. We just could not see it. Skal's personality emerged more each day. He was curious about everything. He asked endless questions. Why is the sky black here? Where does food come from? What is laughter? Dae-hyun answered every question with patience, and Skal absorbed every answer like he was starving for knowledge. The creature was also surprisingly gentle. When Nari started joining the sessions, Skal treated her with careful respect. He learned that humans were fragile compared to him, so he moved slowly around them. He never raised his voice. He controlled his strength perfectly. One day, Dae-hyun brought a small ball. It was soft and colorful, a toy really. He tossed it to Skal, who caught it in one massive claw. What do? Skal asked. Throw it back, Dae-hyun said. Skal looked confused, but he gently tossed the ball. It landed perfectly in Dae-hyun's hands. Dae-hyun smiled and threw it back. Skal caught it again. They repeated this simple game for 20 minutes, and Skal's rumbling laughter filled the containment area. Nari watched from the side, a small smile on her face. I never thought I would see the galaxy's most dangerous predator playing catch. He was never dangerous, Dae-hyun said. He was just treated like he was. The medical team finally got permission to run scans on Skal with Dae-hyun present. Skal stood very still while strange equipment hummed around him. He did not like it, but Dae-hyun held his claw and talked to him through the whole process. Skal trusted him completely. You doing great, Skal, Dae-hyun encouraged. Almost done. Skal brave? The creature asked. Very brave. When the scan finished, Skal looked proud. He had faced something scary and succeeded. The medical team gathered data that would have been impossible 2 weeks ago. Dr. Wan was amazed at how much they learned in just one session. But the real breakthrough came on the 15th day. Dae-hyun had been thinking about giving Skal more responsibility. The creature was smart and eager to help. He needed purpose beyond just waiting for his friend to visit. That morning, Dae-hyun explained his idea. Skal, I need help with something important. Skal immediately focused all his attention. Help, Dae? Ska help? The monitoring equipment in your room makes sounds if something is wrong, Dae-hyun explained. He pointed at the panel on the wall. See those lights? If any turn red, it means a problem. Can you watch the lights while I work in the other room? If they turn red, you tell me right away. Skal looked at the panel seriously. Skal watch. Ska tell Dae if red? Exactly. This is an important job. I am trusting you with it. Skal do good job, the creature promised. Skal not let Dae down. Dae-hyun smiled and touched Skal's claw briefly. I know you will do great. He left the containment area and went to help Dr. Wan in the observation room. They were organizing research data, a task that would take several hours. Nari stayed by the containment entrance, as always. But she was relaxed now, not tense and ready for danger like before. Inside his room, Skal sat by the monitoring panel like a guard. His eyes never left the lights. Green, 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 all good. He took his job very seriously. Dae had given him something important to do. He would not fail. 3 hours passed. The light stayed green. Ska did not move from his position. He barely blinked. He was focused completely on his task. When Dae-hyun finally returned, he found Skal still sitting alert by the panel. "Skal, I am back." Skal immediately turned to him. "No alarm."
"Lights stay green."
"Ska, watch good." "You watched the whole time?" Dae-hyun asked, impressed. "Yes." "Skal not leave." Skal watched like Dae asked. Dae-hyun felt warmth in his chest. This creature, who had been labeled dangerous and mindless, had just demonstrated responsibility and dedication. "Skal, you did an excellent job." "Thank you." Skal tilted his head, processing the words. Then he spoke in a way that made the translator work hard to capture the exact meaning. What came out was simple but perfect. "Thanks, boss dad." Everyone in the observation room froze. The words hung in the air. Dae-hyun stared at Skal in surprise. "Boss dad, not friend." "Not Dae, boss dad. What did you call me?" Dae-hyun asked softly. Skal looked uncertain, worried he had said something wrong. "Boss dad? Dae is boss. Tell Skal what do. But also, dad, keep Skal safe. Teach Skal, care for Skal, like pack leader. Boss dad." Understanding flooded through Dae-hyun. Skal had created his own word for their relationship. Dae was his authority figure, his teacher, his guide, but also his protector, his caregiver, his family. Boss and dad merged together into one concept. Dae-hyun felt tears sting his eyes. He stepped closer to the containment field. "Yes, Skal. I am your boss dad, and you are my pack member. Skal happy," the creature rumbled. "Skal have boss dad now, not alone anymore." In the observation room, Dr. Wan was recording everything with shaking hands. "The emotional complexity," he whispered. "He understands relationships at such a deep level." Nari wiped her own eyes quickly, pretending she was not affected. But she was. They all were. Captain Rena watched the footage later that evening. She replayed the boss dad moment 3 times. Then she called a station meeting. "I have a proposal," she announced to the gathered department heads. "I want to integrate Skal into station life. Remove the containment field. Let him move freely in designated areas, under Dae-hyun's supervision." The room erupted in protest. The security chief stood up immediately. "Captain, with all respect, that is insane." "The creature killed 3 people." "The creature was tortured and isolated," Rena corrected firmly. "He reacted in self-defense. Since Dae-hyun began working with him, there has not been a single incident. Not one. Skal has demonstrated intelligence, emotional control, and genuine care for others. He has earned the chance to prove himself." "What if he becomes aggressive again?" another officer asked. "Then we have protocols in place," Rena replied. "But I believe that will not happen. I have watched him for 2 weeks. I have seen the transformation. This is not a monster. This is a person who was never given a chance to be anything else." The debate lasted 2 hours. Some officers were completely against it. Others were cautiously supportive. Dr. Wan spoke passionately in favor, presenting all his research data. Nari surprised everyone by also supporting the proposal. "I guard that containment area every day," Nari said. "I watch Skal and Dae together. Skal is safer than many sentient species I have met. He is kind, he is careful. He tries so hard to be good. If we keep him locked up forever, we are the monsters, not him." Finally, they voted. It was close, but integration was approved on a trial basis, 1 week to start. If there were any problems, Skal would return to containment immediately. When Dae-hyun told Skal the news the next morning, the creature could hardly believe it. "Outside? Skal can go outside the room?" "Yes, with me. We will explore the station together." Skal stood very still, processing this. Then he asked quietly, "What if Skal make mistake? What if others scared?" "Then we will be patient," Dae-hyun said. "We will show them there is nothing to fear. But Skal, you must promise me something. You must stay calm, even if there are loud noises or bright lights. You must be gentle with everyone." "Can you do that?" Skal promised, the creature said solemnly. "Skal, be good. Skal, make boss dad proud." "You already make me proud." The next day, the containment field was deactivated for the first time in 2.5 months. The energy barrier shimmered and disappeared. Skal stood at the entrance, hesitant. "It okay?" Dae-hyun encouraged. "Come on." Skal took one careful step forward. Then another. He was outside the containment area, free. He looked around the observation room with wonder, seeing it from this new perspective. "Walk with me," Dae-hyun said, heading toward the door. Skal followed, his massive form moving with surprising quiet. They walked through the corridors slowly. A few crew members saw them and pressed against the walls, nervous. But Skal kept his head low and his movements gentle. He did not want to scare anyone. They reached the observation deck, a large room with massive windows showing the stars and gas giant outside. Skal approached the window slowly and stared out at the view. For a long moment he said nothing. He just looked at the endless space, the swirling colors of the gas giant, the distant stars. Then he spoke, his voice filled with emotion. Pretty. It was such a simple word, but it carried so much meaning. Skal was not just seeing stars. He was experiencing beauty. He was having a moment of peace and wonder. He was alive in a way he had not been for months. Skal adapted to station life faster than anyone expected. Within days, he became a familiar sight in the corridors. Crew members who initially feared him began to relax. Some even greeted him. Skal always responded politely, keeping his voice quiet and his movements careful. He followed Dae-hyun everywhere, earning the nickname The Shadow among the crew. Where Dae went, Skal went. The human researcher could not turn a corner without finding his massive companion right behind him. It should have been annoying, but Dae found it endearing. Skal also discovered he loved helping with station work. His strength made him perfect for cargo management. He could lift containers that required 4 crew members and specialized equipment. He moved them gently and precisely, never damaging anything. The cargo team quickly learned to appreciate him. Best worker we ever had, the cargo chief told Captain Rena. Never complains, never takes breaks, always careful. Plus, he is faster than our machines. Nari started playing games with Skal during her breaks. They played catch with increasingly complex patterns, testing Skal's reflexes and coordination. He was remarkably good, his multiple eyes tracking objects that would confuse most species. Nari called it the galaxy's weirdest game of catch, but she always showed up for their sessions. Skal also made an unexpected friend in a young engineering technician named Hana Kim. She was shy and quiet, often overlooked by her louder colleagues. One day she dropped her tools in the corridor and Skal helped her pick them up. They started talking and Hana discovered Skal loved learning about how things worked. Soon she was teaching him about station systems during her lunch breaks. He understands mechanical concepts better than some trained engineers, Hana reported to Dr. Wan. He asked me yesterday how the gravity generators create artificial weight. That is a complex question. Life was good. Skal was happy. He had his boss dad, his friends, his work, and his freedom. He spent evenings with Dae-hyun, reading simple books or watching recordings of Earth animals. His favorite were the dogs. He loved watching them play and work with humans. Skal liked dogs, he told Dae one evening. Dogs are pack. Like Skal and boss dad. Yes, exactly like us, Dae agreed. Then everything changed. 3 weeks after integration began, a galactic research committee arrived at the station. They came in a massive ship with official insignias covering its hull. Their mission was to inspect xenobiology programs across the sector, and Station Hadron 7 was on their list. Captain Rena received them in her formal office. The committee was led by a Velcrin named Tavron, older than Rena with calculating eyes and a rigid posture. He brought data pads filled with regulations and safety protocols. We have received reports about your Voidstalker situation, Tavron said without greeting. A creature that killed 3 researchers is now roaming your station freely. This is deeply concerning. Rena kept her expression neutral. Skal has not shown any aggression since integration. He has been a model resident. Skal? Tavron raised his eye ridges. You named it? He named himself, Rena corrected. He is a sentient being, not an it. Tavron made a dismissive gesture. We will conduct a full evaluation. If the creature passes, it may remain. If it fails, it will be recontained or euthanized. Those are the only options. Rena wanted to argue, but she knew protocol. The committee had authority here. She could only hope Skal would prove himself. She sent word to Dae-hyun immediately. When Dae-hyun told Skal about the evaluation, the creature became visibly anxious. His blue markings pulsed faster, a sign of stress. What is evaluation? Tests, Dae-hyun explained gently. Important people want to see that you can follow rules and stay calm. They want to make sure you are safe to be with others. Skal go back in cage? Skal asked, his voice small. The question broke Dae-hyun's heart. I will do everything I can to prevent that. But Skal, you must be very good during these tests. Follow every instruction. Stay calm no matter what happens. Can you do that? Skal straightened his posture, trying to be brave. Skal can do. Skal, be good for Boss Dad. Not just for me, Dae-hyun said firmly. For yourself. You deserve freedom. You deserve a good life. Show them who you really are. The evaluation began the next morning. The committee set up testing equipment in the station's largest cargo bay. Skal entered with Dae-hyun beside him. Tavron and 3 other committee members watched from a raised observation platform, their expressions cold and analytical. The first test was obedience. Tavron gave commands through a speaker system. Sit, stand, move to the left, move to the right. Skal followed every instruction perfectly, his eyes occasionally flickering to Dae-hyun for reassurance. Dae gave small encouraging nods. The second test was stress response. They activated loud alarms and bright flashing lights. Ska flinched, his old trauma surfacing. His claws dug into the floor. But he did not attack or panic. He closed his eyes, breathed slowly like Dae had taught him, and waited until the noise stopped. When it ended, he was still sitting calmly. Impressive, one committee member admitted. The third test was social interaction. Crew members approached Skal one by one, some nervous, some confident. Skal greeted each person politely. When a young technician accidentally stumbled near him, Skal gently steadied her with one claw. The woman smiled nervously and thanked him. Skal carefully released her and stepped back to give her space. Tavron watched everything with narrowed eyes. He was impressed, clearly, but not convinced. He whispered something to his colleagues, and they nodded. Then he announced the final test. Remove the human from the room. Dae-hyun stepped forward immediately. That is not necessary. Skal has proven. The creature must demonstrate stability without its handler, Tavron interrupted. If it cannot function independently, it is not truly safe. It is simply controlled. He functions independently every day, Dae-hyun argued. He works in cargo without me. He visits friends without me. But you are always available on the station, Tavron countered. We need to see its behavior when you are completely unavailable. This is non-negotiable. Captain Rena's voice came through the intercom. Dae-hyun, please comply. It is the only way forward. Dae-hyun looked at Skal. The creature was already showing signs of distress. His markings pulsed rapidly. His breathing quickened. Dae walked over and placed both hands on Skal's massive head. Listen to me, he said firmly. I will be right outside. You can do this. You are strong. You are brave. Just stay calm and remember everything I taught you. I believe in you. Boss Dad leave? Skal's voice trembled. Just for a little while. I am not abandoning you. I promise, Skal nodded slowly, trying to trust. Dae-hyun squeezed his head gently, then walked to the exit. 2 security officers escorted him out. The doors sealed behind them. Skal was alone with the committee. For a moment, Skal just stood there looking at the door where Dae had disappeared. He made a small sound. Boss Dad? No answer. Tavron descended from the observation platform and approached Skal directly. The creature watched him warily. You will now demonstrate basic tasks without assistance, Tavron said coldly. Move that cargo container to the far wall. Skal looked at the container, then at Tavron. He did not like this person. Something in Tavron's voice reminded him of the hunters who had captured him. But he remembered his promise. Be good, stay calm. He moved to the container and carefully lifted it, carrying it to the designated spot. Acceptable, Tavron said. Now stack 3 more containers on top of it. Skal completed the task, his movements precise despite his growing anxiety. Each time he finished a task, Tavron immediately gave him another. Harder, faster, more complex. The other committee members watched silently, not intervening. Outside the cargo bay, Dae-hyun paced restlessly. He could hear some of what was happening through the sealed door. He heard Tavron's harsh voice giving order after order. He heard Skal responding, trying so hard to comply. This is cruel, he said to Nari, who stood guard with him. It is the galaxy's way, Nari replied grimly. Trust is earned through testing. Inside, Skal was reaching his limit. He had completed 15 tasks in a row. He was tired. He was stressed. He kept looking at the door, hoping to see Boss Dad return. But the door stayed closed. Tavron moved closer, deliberately invading Skal's space. You have been given many privileges, he said, his tone harsh. But you are still just a creature. A dangerous specimen that killed sentient beings. You do not deserve freedom. You deserve a cage. Skal backed away, his breathing rapid. Skal good. Skal not hurt anyone. You killed 3 researchers, Tavron pressed. What makes you think you deserve mercy? They hurt Skal first, the creature said, his voice breaking. Skal scared. Skal alone. Skal sorry. Sorry is not enough, Tavron said coldly. That was when Skal broke. Not violently, but emotionally. He retreated to the corner of the cargo bay and curled up, making himself as small as possible. A sound came from him, a keening wail that spoke of deep distress. It echoed through the bay, full of pain and fear and loneliness. Outside, Dae-hyun heard that sound and his heart stopped. He knew that sound. It was the sound Skal made during nightmares when he dreamed of his capture. Let me in, he demanded. The test is not complete, the guard said. The test is torture. Dae-hyun pushed past the guard and overrode the door controls with his research credentials. The doors opened and he ran inside. 6 months passed like a gentle dream. Skal had become more than just a resident of Station Hadron 7. He was part of the community, a beloved member who contributed daily to station life. His transformation from a feared predator to a trusted friend was complete. His job in cargo management became official. The station paid him a small salary, which Skal used to buy gifts for his friends. He bought Dae-hyun a datapad with information about animal training. He bought Nari a special throwing ball for their games. He bought Hana a toolkit with her name engraved on it. He was learning what it meant to be part of a society, to give and receive, to build relationships through small kindnesses. His vocabulary had grown enormous. He could read now, devouring children's books at first, then moving to more complex texts. His favorite stories were about families and adventures. He especially loved tales where the hero was misunderstood at first but proved their worth through courage and kindness. Day suspected Skal saw himself in those stories. Skal also developed hobbies beyond work. He loved watching the stars and learning about different planets. He enjoyed music, particularly soft instrumental pieces that reminded him of natural sounds. He even tried creating art, using his claws to etch patterns into metal sheets. They were surprisingly beautiful, geometric and flowing at the same time. Hana hung one of his pieces in her workshop. Skal nearly cried with pride when he saw it displayed there. But the biggest change came from Dr. Wan's research. He had spent months studying Skal's biology, behavior, and social patterns. He compared his findings with historical data about other captured void stalkers. His conclusions would shake the galactic scientific community to its core. Dr. Wan presented his findings to Captain Rena first. Void stalkers are not hostile fauna, he explained, showing her charts and data. They are pack creatures with complex social hierarchies. They have language, culture, and advanced problem-solving abilities. Every aggressive behavior we have documented was a response to isolation, mistreatment, or fear. In their natural environment, they are protective of their young, cooperative with pack members, and actually avoid unnecessary violence. Rena read through the research carefully. The evidence was overwhelming. This means we have been classifying them wrong for decades. Not just wrong, Wan said heavily. We have been treating sentient beings like animals. We have killed them, imprisoned them, experimented on them. Skal is not an exception. He is normal for his species. We just never gave them a chance to show us. What do you recommend? Rena asked. Submit this to the Galactic Council, Wan said. Request reclassification of void stalkers from hostile fauna to sentient species. It will cause controversy, but it is the right thing to do. Rena did not hesitate. She submitted the research with her full support. The report included videos of Skal, his progress, his work, his friendships. It showed undeniable proof of intelligence and emotional depth. Within days, the report reached the highest levels of galactic government. The response was immediate and explosive. News services across the galaxy picked up the story. Scientists demanded access to the data. Politicians debated the implications. And most importantly, other stations with captured void stalkers began re-evaluating their treatment protocols. Some facilities had kept void stalkers in terrible conditions, barely alive, treated worse than laboratory animals. When the reclassification movement gained momentum, investigators were sent to inspect these facilities. What they found horrified the galaxy. Beings of intelligence and feeling, subjected to cruelty and neglect. Several facility directors were arrested. The Void Stalkers in custody were immediately moved to better conditions and provided with counselors trained in trauma recovery. Skal watched the news reports with mixed emotions. He was glad his story helped others of his kind, but he was sad that so many had suffered. Skal wished could help them, he told Dae-hyun one evening. Skal know what it'd feel like, being scared and alone. You are helping them, Dae assured him. Your story is giving them hope. You are showing the galaxy that Void Stalkers deserve respect and dignity. Skal want meet others like Skal, the creature said quietly. Skal wonder if old Pack's still alive. That comment gave Dae-hyun an idea. He approached Captain Rena with a proposal. I want to take Skal to his homeworld. Let him reunite with his pack if possible. It would be good for him, and it could help establish diplomatic relations between humans and Void Stalkers. Rena considered this. The Galactic Council had officially reclassified Void Stalkers as sentient 2 weeks ago, but nobody had attempted formal contact with their civilization yet. It could be dangerous. We know very little about their culture. Skal can guide us, Dae said. He remembers his home. He can help us approach respectfully. After much discussion and planning, the mission was approved. A small ship would carry Dae-hyun, Skal, Nari, and a diplomatic team to the outer fringe where Void Stalker populations lived. It would be a journey of discovery and potentially healing. When Dae told Skal about the plan, the creature was overwhelmed with emotion. Really, Skal can go home? Yes, and I will be with you the whole time. Boss Dad come with Skal to home? Ska asked as if he could not quite believe it. Of course. We are pack. We stay together. Skal made a sound that was somewhere between laughter and crying. He had never thought he would see his homeworld again. The thought of seeing his old pack, of introducing them to his boss dad, filled him with joy and nervousness. The journey took 2 weeks. Ska spent most of the trip telling Dae about his home. He described the vast forest with trees that glowed at night. He described the crystal caves where his pack lived, protecting them from harsh weather. He described the hunting songs his pack sang together, the way they celebrated births and mourned deaths, the complex social bonds that held them together. Skal pack thinks Skal dead, he said one day, looking sad. Been long time. They have mourning ceremony for Skal. Then we will give them a happy surprise, Dae said gently. We will show them you are alive and well. When they finally arrived at the Void Stalker homeworld, Skal pressed against the ship's viewing port, staring at his planet with desperate longing. It was beautiful, lush with vegetation and sparkling waterways. They landed in a clearing near where Skal remembered his pack's territory being. The moment the ship's door opened, Skal burst out. He ran into the forest, following paths only he could see. Dae and the others followed as quickly as they could. Nari kept her weapon ready just in case, but Dae doubted they would need it. They heard the Void Stalkers before they saw them. A group of 5 emerged from the trees, massive and armored like Skal. They stopped when they saw Skal, their bodies going very still. Then one of them, slightly smaller than the others, made a sound that the translation matrix struggled with. It finally settled on a name. Skal? Mother, Skal called back. The smaller Void Stalker rushed forward and collided with Skal in what was clearly an embrace. They wrapped around each other, making sounds of joy and relief. The other pack members joined in, all of them touching Skal, confirming he was real. Dae watched with tears in his eyes. This was a family reunion. These beings loved Skal the same way he did. They had mourned him. They had missed him. And now he was home. After the initial reunion, Skal's mother and pack noticed the humans standing nearby. They approached cautiously, protective of Skal. Skal quickly moved between them and the humans. Wait, he said in Galactic Common, which surprised his pack. These are friends. This is Boss Dad. He gestured to Dae-hyun. Boss Dad save Skal. Teach Skal. Give Skal home when Skal have none. Boss Dad is pack. Skal's mother studied Dae-hyun carefully. She moved close, lowering her head to his level. Then she spoke in broken Galactic Common, proving that Void Stalkers could learn language quickly when given the chance. You saved Skal? Yes, Dae said simply. And he saved me too. He taught me that understanding is stronger than fear. She seemed to accept this. Slowly, carefully, she touched Dae's head with one gentle claw. It was a gesture of respect and thanks. Skal is pack. You save pack. You are pack now too. The diplomatic mission became a cultural exchange. Over the following weeks, Day and his team learned about Void Stalker Society. They were complex and sophisticated, with traditions going back thousands of years. They lived in harmony with their environment, taking only what they needed. They valued loyalty, courage, and compassion above all else. They had art, music, and storytelling. They were everything a sentient species should be recognized as. In return, the Void Stalkers learned about the greater galaxy, about other species, about technology, about the possibilities beyond their planet. Skal served as translator and cultural bridge, explaining concepts to both sides. He thrived in this role, proud to help his two families understand each other. When it was time to return to the station, Skal faced a difficult choice. His mother took him aside for a private conversation. When they returned, Skal looked determined. "Skal won't stay with Boss Dad," he announced. "Skal love home. Skalopek. But Skal have new life now, new purpose. But Skal not want leave forever. Skal want visit. Keep both families," his mother understood. "Pack always here. Skal always welcome home."